Hi everyone, this is Maureen Bilhakamari, and in this session, I want to share with you guys the skills you're going to need to be a cake artist who is at least able to take cake orders confidently. And especially if you're really getting into this journey to become a professional cake artist, these are just some of the top skills you're going to need. So in today's session, I'll cover the top skills you need to be a cake artist. I'll also give you a bonus sharing kind of how you benefit from gaining those skills in case you're wondering how important are those skills. So because we're talking about the baking industry, I just want to share some facts with you or some tips with you guys in case you're sort of on the fence about it, right? So because I get this DM a lot from people. Do you think that the baking industry is profitable? Do you think it's a dying industry? That kind of thing. And so I just want to describe what a profitable industry is or what a growing industry is, right? So if we're talking about the industry, typically there's things you're going to look at to see, is it growing, is it dying, right? So the one thing you want to check is there increasing demand, right? And to be honest, there has been a rise in consumption of baked goods, right? And this is because of different reasons. Population growth, people have changed their diets, and a lot of the times because of disposable incomes, people now have the money to buy the cakes, so they're buying the cakes, right? Another thing that you want to look at when it comes to a growing industry or growing kind of industry like the baking industry is product innovation, right? Are things the same as they were 10 or 20 years ago, or have they changed? And we can see in the baking industry, there's lots of innovation. There's gluten-free, there's eggless, there's organic, there's a rise in artisanal breads like sourdough is such a big thing going into 2025. Pastries, right? There's a lot of pastries available these days as opposed to like 15 years ago. So there's a lot of innovation to cater to evolving customer preferences. Another thing is technological advancement. This is something I can tell you for free as somebody who got into the baking industry in Kenya like 10 years ago. The adoption of new technologies is big time, right? We've even seen mixers that are not only countertop mixers, but they're digital, right? You can set a timer on the mixer and it goes off. And as we continue, I am seeing people start to just make smart tools when it comes to baking. So there's lots of focus on efficiency, lots of focus on quality, lots of focus on consistency. Another thing is market expansion, right? So the growth of industry into different markets. We've seen the baking industry itself, especially in Africa. I'm based in Nairobi, Kenya. So especially in Africa, we've seen first just growth, but also it going into different things. Like a lot of cafes or restaurants are also doing baking. A lot of supermarkets are also doing baking, right? This kind of tells you there's money in there, because why would a supermarket invest in a bakery if it's not making money? So this is happening locally. It's happening across the nation and internationally, right? It's been fueled by globalization and e-commerce. A big one is growth in online sales. So a long time, if you wanted to make money in Kenya, with a bakery, you'd open in a good location, that was it. But because of the rise of online platforms and delivery services, right? We have Jumia Food, we have Uber Eats, and just regular delivery using a rider. Because of that, you're able as a baker to provide cakes to somebody else who's not close to you, right? That means you can actually grow your reach or grow your market reach over time. So is there actual growth in the baking industry worldwide? Yes. However, I do want to share some statistics with you people just to kind of prove my point. And I'll be linking the links below for some of these sources of these links. But I just kind of want to share so that we're on the same page as to this is not a dying industry. So the bakery products market size globally in 2022 was valued at 234.5 billion US dollars, right? US dollars, billion. In 2023, when you just look at US growth, the US bakery market was valued at 78.96 billion, and it's set to rise to about 86 billion by 2029, sorry. So that's a steady growth of 1.62, sorry. That's not bad. If we look at the Kenyan market, if you're wondering, is the Kenyan market, does that have any money? Yes, it does. Big time, guys, right? So the Kenyan market for bakery products, bread and bakery products just by themselves, right, was 8.2 billion. And this was this year. 8.2 billion, which is about a trillion shillings, guys. Trillion shillings. It's not a dead industry. And the interesting thing about the Kenyan market is that it's expected to grow annually by 9% by 2029. So we could also be growing 2% each year. So that's one of the things that we've noticed is that there is an increase in people getting into the baking industry. Does it make it very competitive? Yeah, but hey, it's growing. So even if the growth is there, it's moderate, it's still there. Just an example is how people are paid, right? You can see Kenyan bakers these days are paid per month between 21,000 all the way to 87,000. And this is a lot based on the type of bakery, the skill level of the baker, the experience of the baker. Remember, we're even talking about people who have opened bakeries. So if I've opened a bakery, I'm paying myself a wage, right? So that's what we're considering. So what I'm trying to tell you is that it's not a dead industry. It's still going. It's still an industry that is still running. So if you're curious about it, like, should I get into this? I want to get into it, but I don't know if it's growing. Well, yes, it is growing. Now you may wonder, why should you listen to me while I tell you these things? On top of just picking up statistics that I'm going to share links at the bottom, I'm also going to share my story so that you can understand where I'm coming from. So my name is Maureen Belhakamari. Like I said, I'm a professional baker, cake artist, and a trainer. I'm the founder and chief trainer at the Baking with Amari brand. I've been a bakery professional for over 12 years. I've worked in the baking industry since 2008. I was employed in a commercial bakery, and I'm currently the owner of a bakery business based in Kenya, in Nairobi. I've been an entrepreneur in the baking industry in Kenya since 2012, and I've been training bakers since 2015. So my baking business is called Baking for Profit Limited, and I have 3 brands. Baking with Amari, which is my main brand. We also do specific types of cakes. So we have the chiffon cakes by Amari brand. And I also have a brand called Baking for Profit that just focuses on business content for bakers. So in my main business, we offer baking and cake decoration classes, both online and physical. We also sell recipe ebooks, and when they're in stock, we also sell recipe hard copies, the printed books. We also offer baking for business masterclasses, physical and online classes. So for the baking classes, remember, we do online courses. We also do physical courses, and I'm going to be telling you about our current intake that we're doing for January 2025 for anybody who's looking to be a serious cake artist. We are based on Gong Road, which is a building called Arcades Discount Mall, shop number 52, ground floor. This is next to the Greenhouse Mall. For those of you who are in Nairobi and they're wondering where we are at. So I'm a passionate baker. I've been employed in the food industry for like 9 years, right? My background is in hotel management. So since I was 16 till 25, I was in the food industry. Then after that, I decided to pursue my baking passion in 2012. Turn it into an income generating activity. And I currently do that by teaching individuals to bake, decorate. I also participate in various training and industry events. I learned how to bake in high school, right? My first baking teacher, her name was Miss Minadeo in high school in Ohio. She really encouraged my passion in baking and taught me so much. I took a semester of creative cooking, which had like 60% baking in it. And that's when I started baking at home. I also later, when I wanted to get serious, attended professional online baking courses from 2010 to 2013. So this, as you can see, was my skill around 2007, 2008, not that great of products. But once I took the professional courses and did a lot of practice, I was actually able to improve my skill, and I have been continuing since then. So these are some of the things I do. I focus on cake making and decoration, and I can decorate with majority of the mediums that are out there. I also do a lot of pastry making, laminated pastries, cookies, and fried yeast pastries as well. And these are some of the things I've done, right? So I was born in Nairobi, Kenya. My family relocated. And from when I was 12 years old, we live in the US. Then I came back in Nairobi in 2007, and I decided to try out entrepreneurship. That first year I tried entrepreneurship, I failed lost all my money and I had to get a job. So after failing, I was able to be employed, but that job taught me so much about running business in Kenya. I'm so grateful to have that job. I still decided I wanted to be an entrepreneur and to pursue my own financial independence. So I started a baking business and I call it Amari Quick Breads, right? Because I was selling a lot of quick breads. I was selling banana bread, lemon bread, orange bread. Around this time, I started a baking blog as well, amaribakery.com. It's still there, sharing tons of information about the baking industry in Kenya and other information about baking in general. My business did well once I opened in 2012, so I decided to open a shop because I started as a home baker, but I closed within 6 months in 2013. And so I realized I didn't have the baking skill or the business skills required to run the business, so I got serious mentorship for a year. Then by 2014, I had started training because there seemed to be a demand for people looking to learn how to bake. And so that did so well, I decided to close the baking side. So I stopped taking cake orders and I started focusing on the training. And the training was really helped by this bakery blog that I had because bakers started finding it and started asking for training. So I also started doing baking for business training in 2015 when I launched my book, How to Start a Small Baking Business Successfully, because I realized there was a gap for that as well. Since I'm a passionate recipe developer and a tester, I also started selling recipe ebooks as well. So as you can see, this is me after I had to work, basically just trying to earn money to get back up and start my business again. Then I also started going to a lot of events that would help me promote my business and promote my training thing as well. I also started doing group training, like I'd go to Kisumu to do like eggless cake specialized training, just generally to promote my brand and continue teaching. So in 2015, I decided to get very serious and deliberate with my online marketing, and I'm still doing that till now. And in between 2017 2018, I kind of saw the potential of my business, especially in the baking industry. When I first made my first million in sales, I realized that this can get very serious. And so in 2018, I also started doing longer mentorships and mastermind groups for bakers who are looking to get very serious after learning how to bake. In 2019, I still wanted to sell cakes, but I wanted to do something very specific. So I launched my second baking business, which is Chiffon Cakes by Amari, which is a bakery brand that's specifically focusing on just selling chiffon cakes. At the end of 2022, I had to rebrand my business. It used to be Amari Baking Center, and I rebranded to Baking with Amari. Now, all of these things I was still doing as a home baker. I was able to move out and get a bakery shop in Nairobi, Kenya, which is where I'm at right now. I also do external trainings and I judge in baking competitions. As you can see, I've done a whole lot of that, especially last year and this year, which is always fun because I love doing that stuff. I also do external trainings to different counties for institutions, staff trainings, that kind of thing. I'm proud to be a professional baker and a cake artist, very excited about doing it. So you might be asking yourself, who is a cake artist? Maybe you haven't heard that name, or you've heard the name, but you're not sure. So basically, it's somebody who it's not just about baking cakes, it's baking cakes and turning them into beautiful art, hence the word cake artist. So basically, you should have the skill to bake cakes, make sure they're beautiful, but also be able to work with various frostings like fondant and other edible decorations to create amazing, amazing cakes. So if you want to do that, if that I have described is what you want to do, here are the top skills you need to be able to do that, right? So the first skill I want to talk about is basic cake making skills. You have to be able to properly measure ingredients, mix the cake, use the proper techniques to actually bake the cake so you can get your good results. And if you want to be a very good cake artist, you want to make sure you know how to bake these top 3 cakes. These are the top 3 skills when it comes to cake making that you definitely need to have. You need to make sure you can be able to comfortably mix and bake butter cakes. So I actually have a video in this YouTube channel, so you can check later, on the different types of cakes. And the cakes are not categorized in flavor. Actually, as a baker, you want to understand that cakes are categorized based on mixing methods. So the first type of cake that's very popular that you've probably tasted is butter cakes, right? So usually that's vanilla cake, chocolate cake, marble cake, cupcakes, right? You have to learn and perfect the creaming and folding cake mixing methods to be able to bake these cakes, right? So basically, you should be able to make something like this. This is something our student worked on, and it should look like this. Inside should be soft, fluffy, moist. And as you can see on the right, she actually got to decorate the cake. So basically, this is what the skill you're having or you're looking for should be able to give you delicious results like this. Why? Well, when you bake something, and especially for those of you who are looking to become cake artists so you can actually start selling, you want your customers to keep coming back. The only way I'd keep coming back to buy your cakes or eat your cakes is because they're so delicious. I gotta come back. And so you want to make sure your results are so good that people keep coming back for more, right? So just something to consider. You also need to make sure you're able to mix and bake sponge cakes, right? And I want to mention to you that we have different types of sponge cakes. There is tons and tons of sponge cakes in the baking world. But the top four you want to be able to mix and bake: a biscuit, a genoise, chiffon cake, angel food cakes, right? These are like the base sponge cakes that you really want to be able to bake, right? Just to give an example, if you want to bake a Black Forest cake, you should know how to bake a chocolate sponge cake. Or if somebody wants a Swiss roll, you should be able to bake the Swiss roll as a sponge cake, because that's what it is. So what does that mean to you? You need to learn how to mix and perfect the whisking and folding cake mixing method. Again, I have a video that talks about mixing methods in this channel. After this video, you can watch it. So you should be able to whisk properly, mix properly, so that when you mix and decorate and bake that cake, it turns out, again, nice and fluffy, because sponge cakes definitely want to be nice and aerated. So you need to know how to do that. As you can see, this is one of our students who learned how to do the cake. So in case you're wondering, when it comes to Black Forest, what do I need to do to assemble one? So when you're making a Black Forest, authentic Black Forest, you need to make sure you know how to make a chocolate sponge cake. You need to soak that sponge cake with some cherry syrup or Kirsch liquor, right? Because it tends to be a dry one. You need to know how to make whipped cream frosting. You have to use cherry filling for this. You need to garnish with red cherries, and you have to garnish with chocolate. So for you to make a Black Forest, you have to have the ability to mix and bake a chocolate sponge cake, right? And you also have to have the skill to make and decorate the whipped cream frosting. So you have to have those two skills, which is why I'm talking about you making sure you have those skills to make that particular cake. So the third type of cake that I would advise you to know how to make is what we call quick breads, right? So basically, quick breads use what we call the all-in-one method, right? And quick breads are, for example, banana bread. I'm sure you've heard of banana bread, or something like muffins, like banana nut muffins. Another example is pancakes. Pancakes are actually a type of quick bread, but also, what is this? Zucchini bread. There's variations of carrot cakes that are quick breads. So you need to be able to mix using the all-in-one method and understand products that are mixed with the all-in-one method, and how should they look like? How should the texture of that be, right? What's the best texture for something that is using the all-in-one method? So that's another thing you need to be able to. In case you're wondering, why do I need to know these things, especially if you're selling? Remember, our cake clients these days are very knowledgeable. They know exactly how Black Forest should taste like. I've met bakers who have had clients complain. I've even had clients complain about bakers, where they're like, I asked for a Black Forest cake and this person gave me a butter cake, like a chocolate cake, and just put frosting in between. That baker probably thought that that person doesn't know. That baker probably doesn't know themselves, right? So realize that our clients these days, I have clients who've come for class and ended up being cake clients because they don't want to bake the cakes, but they wanted to learn how to make them. But they still order cake from people. So these are actual bakers who just don't have the time. Maybe they're employed, and so they start ordering cakes from people. And then you meet amateur bakers selling them stuff that they don't know, right? So please make sure you know how to do things. If it's a Black Forest, sell them a Black Forest with a sponge cake, not a butter cake. Be an expert in your craft and have the confidence to bake the right thing, so that you have clients who are coming back because they have lots of confidence in your particular skill, right? So what action can you take based on this first tip? Well, attend a class with a professional baker who has fully understanding. They have a full understanding of ingredients, tools required, they have experience on cake making, so that when they're teaching you and you need help with troubleshooting, they can be able to do this. Also, when you're taking this class, at least make sure you're getting the skills to learn those 3 products that I've just talked about. Learn how to make butter cakes, learn how to make sponge cakes, and learn how to make quick breads. At least with that information, you'll be able to be ready. And I do want to mention that we have an intake ongoing for a 12-week course on cake making and decoration. And I'll be talking about that in a little bit. And one of the things we do cover is butter cakes, sponge cakes, and all-in-one cake baking. So just a point to note. So the second skill you need is the skill of basic to intermediate cake decoration skills. This means that you can decorate both butter and sponge cakes perfectly, or at least confidently. So not only do you have the cake, it's soft, it's moist and fluffy, you have also learned how to level, crumb coat, apply a second coat, and decorate the final cake design, right? Now you might be wondering yourself, why is that important, right? Realize, especially again, if you want to actually start selling these products, your customers are not all the same. They're not all going to want the same thing. Some cake customers want something very simple. Maybe they want frosted cupcakes like you see over here with just frosting. There's somebody who wants a cake with simple frosting like the white chiffon cake you see here. But there's somebody who's going to want something that's themed. They want you to be able to put the different colors like you're seeing on this orange cake with a lion cake theme. Or somebody who wants like this fondant cake, wrapped cake with the sugar flowers on top. So this means you have to learn and use buttercream, whipped cream, ganache, fondant icing, royal icing, right? You can't just learn how to make one thing, because our customers these days, they tend to want multiple stuff. You can even find one customer who wants frosted cupcakes this time. Next time they want a themed cake for Frozen or something like that in fondant. So you have to be able to like move from these different types of designs. And the only way to do that is to have not only a basic skill, you have to have at least an intermediate skill level, so you're able to execute on these cakes. So let's just kind of break down what types of skills do I mean when I talk about basic and intermediate skill level. I just kind of want to describe the types of skills you actually want to have. Number one, you want to have the basic skills of leveling a cake, crumb coating a cake, applying a second coat, being able to put the basic cake borders, and being able to write on that cake, right? As you can see on the right here. You want to be able to do that. Second thing is that you also want to make these types of icing to the correct texture. You should be able to make a glaze, buttercream, whipped cream, and royal icing, right? So as you can see the pictures on the top right, that's a crumb coat. You should be able to do a crumb coat comfortably. If somebody asks for like a lemon drizzle cake like this one you see here, you should be able to make a nice glaze to the right consistency. If somebody wants a chocolate drip like you're seeing right here, you should be able to make that. If somebody wants a very long message, as you can see on this cake, you should be able to do that. Now, the other skills you need that are intermediate are, for example, you should be able to make whipped ganache and fondant, right? So you should be able to make them to the right consistency and then be able to use them. Another intermediate skill that's really important, especially in this day and age, if you want to sell cakes, cake stacking, proper cake structure. You need to be able to dowel your cakes so they're not slanted and they're not falling apart. You need also to be able to decorate tall cakes, right? Tall cakes are one of those big trending things, and it's important to be able to do that kind of cake decoration, since you're going to get people who are going to ask you to do that. You also need to be able to use various edible decorations and toppers, like rice paper, fondant toppers. You need to be able to make to use edible print on a cake, right? If somebody wants a specific photo on their cake, you should be able to make basic sugar flowers. You can also buy them, by the way, but it's good to make some basic ones. Also, if you're going to use real flowers, do you know how to safely use real flowers on cake? That's one of the skills, or at least somebody needs to explain to you nicely how to do that so it looks good, but it's not going to be a problem for your cake. So as you can see, this is one of our students from our 12-week course. And these are some of the things we cover. On the right over there, you can see she knows how to use fondant. We have another student there who knows how to do a tall cake decoration. We teach you how to do the flowers safely. We also do something like the gift box fondant cake. that looks very custom but very beautiful. So please note, regardless of what niche you get into, like I'll get people going like, but I just want to I just want to deal with soft creams. That's great. But even if you're dealing with soft creams, sometimes the client will ask for a specific type of cake that's custom, and it's going to need you to understand how to use the various types of toppers. Like, I want to give you an example of our chiffon cake bakery. We only do whipped cream frosting, right? That's by design. That's a niche I wanted to get into when it comes to selling cakes. These two cakes are orders that I've done for people who wanted a specific themed cake. And as you can see, it required me to have other skills. So for example, the top cake you're seeing over there with the unicorn required me to be able to make the unicorn horn with fondant in the ears and the eyes. For the second one, I use airbrush skills to do the sunset, the sort of yellow to orange colors, because you can do that with just coloring the frosting. So I use an airbrush to do that. I also have the skill to be able to use edible print toppers on that cake. So this is why, even if you think you're going to be doing simple celebration cakes, it's good to have these other extra skills that you'll use every once in a while. Not all the time, but every once in a while. So just to give you examples of our alumni who have taken our practical classes and used some of these skills over time. So as you can see, our alumni, Anne, Baker and Anne, did the first cake you're seeing on the left there. And she had to use edible print. A lot of her cakes have edible print. She also does it on cupcakes as well. We have our middle alumni there. Her name is Pesh, and she actually learned how to make fondant with us and decorate. She came for a wedding cake stacking class. However, she now does baskets and she does the fondant fruits in there. She's able to make the fruits because she has learned and now ended up practicing and perfecting. On the far right there, you can see our alumni, Tina. She mainly does soft cream. She does buttercream or whipped cream. However, she has to learn how to use fresh flour safely. As you can see, a very elegant cake there. She also has a cake on the right with a lot of toppers. So by learning how to decorate and use various toppers, they're able to take orders and be able to use different types of toppers because of that knowledge, right? So what can you do as a baker or somebody who's looking to get these skills? Again, attend a class with a professional cake artist who has full knowledge and experience of making and decorating using buttercream, whipped cream, fondant, and ganache. How this helps you is that when you're learning and you're practicing during class, even at home, because I encourage our students to go practice at home and give feedback. If you struggle with something, if it's me teaching you, I'll give you tips and help because I have that knowledge. So for you, what you want to do is you get the knowledge, understand how to do it, and then practice how to do that at home. So the third skill you need to be a professional cake artist is understanding flavor blending and flavor fusions. Now, I will go in depth in the next video that I do on this. So after this, make sure to watch the video. However, I want to explain a little bit of what I mean by this, because this is a skill that's becoming very important, especially now. Like I told you, client preferences are changing. Clients also want something more exciting. So this is something to understand. So the skill you need to have is classic flavor blending. Things that have been done before, but make sure you do them properly. Know which flavors complement each other, especially when a client is asking for advice. Like, what do you think? I want to mix up flavors. What do you think? So if you're a proficient cake artist, you're able to keep your menu interesting and enticing because you have these flavor fusions that are very important to understand. So my suggestion would be start with the classics, right? You can start by doing something like cafe mocha, pina colada, lemon blueberry, chocolate mint, chocolate orange. Those are classics that people have tasted, they've liked. Not everybody likes them, but they are known to be liked by customers, right? So as you can see on there, on the right at the top, we have cafe mocha. You should be able to bake that cake and execute it really nicely. At the bottom there, you can see a lemon blueberry cake. So you should be able to do that very well. Just to share a tip that will help you with flavor blending. When you're baking a carrot cake, if you bake the carrot, and you'll note if you are a baker already or you already have this recipe, you'll notice that a carrot cake isn't made just with carrots. It always has spices, right? Because those spices complement the carrot cake. But another thing you can do to take it to the next level is add some lemon juice. You can just add the rind, like grate the rind or squeeze some of the juice and use that in your cake. Like if you're doing a 1 kg, you can do like 2 teaspoons of the lemon, grate like 1 teaspoon of the lemon rind and incorporate that in your cake. And that takes your carrot cake to the next level. So that's what I'm talking about, understanding flavor blending and how it can benefit or enhance your existing cakes as well. And I just want to mention one of the things that I cover intensely, because again, it's becoming a skill that bakers really, really have to know, is flavor blending. I talk about flavor blending for cakes, fillings, even cake assembly and decoration in the 12-week Cake Artist Bootcamp that's coming up. And this is some of the results that we saw in our class that we had with our students. So what you need to do is learn how to bake and assemble these cakes. You should know how they look like, how they should taste like, so that when you make them at home or for a client, you are not confused as to how should this taste. So the fourth skill that you want to have is the ability to decorate tall cakes, and you should also be able to identify trending favorites, right? Because this happens in the food industry, it happens in the baking industry, everywhere. So it's important to have the skills to be able to identify and execute on trending designs. And one of the trending designs that is here with us and looks like it's going nowhere is the tall cakes trend. Tall cakes are generally like a modern kind of design that just came to stay, and people just started doing it, and it looks very elegant. It's very chic, it's very in demand, and it can be a base design for trending. So you can have a tall cake that has a chocolate cage as you're seeing it here. So the trending design is the tall cake, that's a base trending design, but you also need to know how to make a cage, right? And this works for buttercream, whipped cream, fondant. You have to know how to decorate a tall cake using multiple types of frosting. As you can see on the top right there, that's one of our chiffon cakes. We've done the drip and Oreo. So Oreo is another trending flavor that's important to understand. And at the bottom there, you can see the ombre design, where there's a mix of purple and like different shades of purple and white. So it's important to know how to execute on a lot of these designs, because if you're going to be selling, your customers are going to be asking for this. And please note, when it comes to tall cakes and also trending designs, they can be paired on decoration. So for example, as you can see, the cake on the left there is a Lotus Biscoff cake. So it's a tall design, and then we've used the Lotus Biscoff crumbs and the biscuits, and you can even use the drip to do the spread to do the drips. So you have to be able to execute on that because it's a trending design. Another trending design is rice paper toppers, as you can see on the right there. So this is like, again, multiple trending designs put together. So that's a watercolor effect on whipped cream. Then we put the rice paper around to do that. By the way, we actually have a tutorial on how to do that rice cake, this exact design, and you can just check it out after this video to see how to do it if you're already a proficient baker. So again, when it comes to tall cakes, because we want our students to be completely equipped when they start selling these cakes or even just baking the cakes for family, this is one of the things I truly like focusing on in the 12-week practical course, right? By like the last 7 weeks, we cover tall cakes all through, how to decorate them with buttercream, as you can see over there. The red cake is how to decorate them with fondant, even the bottom one right under that. So you should be able to execute how to do the tall cakes, give it support, decorate it with multiple types of frostings. We even do how to decorate it with ganache, because I want you to have that skill. So if somebody asks you for that cake, it's not something you're going to fumble on. So if you're wondering, you're a beginner, you're wondering, what should I do? Again, attend a class with a professional cake artist who has full knowledge of how to execute on trending designs, or at least how to do different types of things that can become a trending design, but also how to decorate tall cakes. Make sure the person teaching you has at least intermediate skill, because you can only teach a level down, so that you're able to get those basic cake making decoration skills, but also how to layer and decorate the tall cakes. You should be able to practice multiple times Get the knowledge, understand, and practice. Now, if you already have the cake making and decoration knowledge, but you're struggling with those tall cakes, you can check out some of our tutorials that are in this channel, right? We have a playlist, as you can see, and it has multiple tall cake tutorials, right? So you can just check, these are some of them. You can just go, we have different playlists, check cake decoration, just scroll down and see some of the things that you can check out. And by the way, this same 12-week course that's practical, we have a corresponding course that's online that's 6 months. That's going to be in February. We're doing an intake in February. But we also do 5-day short courses that are one-on-one. If you just want to learn that specific cake decoration techniques, we have multiple classes that you can just come talk to us to see what you can be able to join. The fifth skill that you need to be a cake artist is cake stacking and proper structure. You need to be able to decorate a cake and make sure it doesn't fall apart. Even if you're doing cake layers, it's not falling or sliding, right? You should be able to understand the importance of layering cakes, doing tall cakes. How do I use dowels properly while I'm decorating to make sure that the cake stays put? You should also at least be able to stack a 2-tier cake to be able to understand how to get a stable structure, right? That is at least something you should be able to do. Now, what you need to realize about this particular skill, first, you need the other 3 skills or the other 4 skills so that now you can come to cake stacking. Because you have to be able to bake a cake nicely decorated for you to learn how to do the cake stacking. This skill requires a lot of practice, especially when it comes to putting the cakes on top, making sure they're not tilted, all that stuff. Like, let's say somebody wants a 2-tier cake, they want you to deliver it somewhere in good condition. You have to be able to do it. So as you can see on the top there, these are some of the students we've taught in our 12-week course. However, we actually have a course for people who already know how to bake. We call it the 5-day wedding cake stacking class. And as you can see, the bottom cakes you're seeing there, that's cakes done in that particular class that focuses on cake stacking. So like you can see at the bottom right here, this is student baker Salam, who came, and this last cake she was actually able to do herself. She she decorated the cakes, stacked it on top, and did the flowers herself. So by the end of the 5 days, this was her last 2-day project, she was able to do this by herself. Now, what do you do if you want this skill? Now, first and foremost, let's talk about why do you want to learn this skill? We've seen cake mishaps and pictures of just what happened to my wedding cake and stuff like that, or what I ordered versus what I got. You don't want to be that story. And so if you learn how to do cake structure properly, you're able to avoid cake accidents that may happen if you're transporting or setting up a cake that does not have a stable structure. And how do you do this? Again, learn from somebody who knows how to do this properly, who's going to teach you the proper, correct way of stacking a cake and all that. Now, remember the Salam is the one I just told you she did the thing. She did the stacking. 1 month after she attended that class, she did a wedding cake order. And she was able to stack the cake herself, as you can see here on the line. She sent me this picture. So she stacked it very comfortably. She was able to make that fondant very comfortably. She didn't have any stress because she'd been practicing in between. So this is the importance of taking a class that teaches you exactly how to do that and also gives you the support to be able to do that. And by the way, we even have a 4-month online course that's purely on wedding cake decoration and stacking. And once the students go through the course and actually follow up, as you can see, these are 2 students who took at different times. They took this course and these are the results they had. And on the left, you can see somebody did the 2-tier cake. And on the right, we had Lillian who did the 3-tiered cake. So if you learn and then practice correctly, you're actually able to get the results that you need to do this. So the 6th skill that you need if you want to be a cake artist who specifically wants to sell cakes is business skills, especially if you're doing this as a home baker. I started as a home baker, so I definitely encourage this very often. You can start the baking business at home and then gradually grow it if you want to. You can even stay a home baker. Now, if you want to be a home baker, you have to realize not only do you need the cake decoration skills and the baking skills, you also need skills to run the business, no matter how small the business is. And so some of the skills you need are like costing and pricing, how to start an online bakery business, how to market, right? Legal requirements, even how to write a simple business plan. And one of the things, again, that I focus on in the 12-week course is how to start an online baking business, including teaching you how to do the costing and pricing. I teach you how to do a very simple, basic business plan that's not stressful. I teach you how to cost and price, and I have the students who attend the class do multiple assignments when it comes to costing and pricing. So no matter what you're doing, or no matter what you're thinking, please make sure to learn from someone, from a baking school, from a cake artist who has the experience, but also believes in offering you support after class. Because the interesting thing about learning is the guidance and support that goes in between there. That's where people get lost. If you have somebody who's not offering support, it's gonna seem like the hardest thing you've ever done. So when you're learning, make sure it's somebody who's offering that, right? Make sure they're if you have a challenge, you're able to reach out to them and they can give you support. And we do this for both our practical class. We have an alumni WhatsApp group, but also you can reach out to us via DM, usually me or whoever the instructor is. Even in our 6-month online course, we have a WhatsApp group. We have a Facebook support group. We're just doing lots of support so that in case you have a challenge when you're baking, you can be able to reach out to me and you can ask the questions and I can be able to help you. Just to give you an example, like on our WhatsApp group, when people attend classes, when they practice, they can comfortably post their results, as you can see here, right? These are some of our students who came to class, practice, and as they continued their journey, they literally would post some of the work they've done just to share their progress. We do the same with even if somebody who's bought our ebook or even somebody who's gone, these are 2 people who've gone through our online classes, and these are the results that they have shared. We do this with our ebook. If you buy our ebook, we will give you feedback or at least some tips on the recipes that you're working on. So make sure you learn from an experienced baker, get the guidance and mentorship in the beginning so that you're able to get that skill confidently and you don't struggle. Just let me share a story about one of our students. Her name is Immaculate. She took our 12-week course. We ran this January to April. And after the course, 1 week later, she got an order from a family member on doing a chocolate, I think it was a marble cake with chocolate frosting. She started having a challenge. During that process, she basically DM'd me, and this is just with her permission. This is some of the things that she was able to share that she was struggling with, right? And she was able to make the buttercream to the right consistency. And at the end, as you can see on the left here, this is the result she had. She also tried like chiffon cakes and she was able to share her progress, and the cake actually came out quite well. And then she was able to decorate it. And then finally, after she'd finished class, she attended class January to April. She had been practicing. She even got our printed Baking with Amari book. When she reached out, I would offer advice. This is the last photo she shared in June of a birthday cake she was able to, birthday cake order she was able to take and execute on, right? So all that, the class paid off, the practicing paid off, and the reaching out and getting tips, she was able to actually do and with this one, she didn't reach out once. She only did it by herself, and she was actually able to get good results. So another thing I want to mention with people, because I have seen this trend with some bakers who go to class and then they'll come reach out to me. They're like, I want a recipe. And I'm like, didn't your instructor give you a recipe? They're like, no, the recipe they gave me is not good. So you also want to make sure whoever you're learning from, make sure they share tried and tested recipes, right? Because if it is a good recipe, you should be able to follow it properly with the right techniques that you've learned. And it doesn't matter who bakes that cake, as long as they have the right techniques, they should have a good result. And I just want to share this. This is from somebody who bought our ebook. She's already a baker. She just wanted the recipes. And this is the result she got for the chocolate sponge because she was struggling with doing sponge cakes, right? This is an online student who also bought the ebook who did our chocolate cake that turned out very well. These are some of our alumni from our practical classes. And as you can see, when you look at that texture, look at the texture of the cake on the right. It looks moist, soft, fluffy. This is Pesh who did this. Then we have another student called Aisha who did the cake on the left. Once you teach people with the right recipes, they're able to execute and they look amazing, right? So make sure whoever you're learning from is also giving you tried and tested recipes that are going to work for you even after class. You don't have to keep going to look for this. So the last tip I wanted to share with you guys is why it's important to get those tips, right? What kind of results can you get when you take those skills that I've just discussed with you people and execute on them and learn? What kind of results can you actually get? Now, before I share that, I do want to share about our class. Allow me to share a few details about the class we have. So we have a 12-week Cake Artist program. We call this a boot camp because it's very intense, hands-on, and it's all about cake making and decoration. This course is going to be held at our bakery workshop in Nairobi, Kenya, from January 20th in 2025. This course, hands-on, you get your own ingredients. We offer you the tools and equipment to work on this. Cakes and decoration. So this is for individuals who are looking to learn how to bake and decorate professionally. If you're looking to start that journey, attend this course. This is 80,000 shillings for this course. We do have two other payments. If you're not able to pay 80,000 for the one part, you can do two-part payment, 85,000, or three-part payment, 90,000. So this class will run on weekdays, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., Mondays to Thursdays, right? And so if you're looking at the January 2025 intake, this is going to be from January 20th till April 10th. So every week, Monday to Thursday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. If you want to enroll, you have to visit the class workshop. So just reach out to me, come see the workshop, and then you can decide if you want to enroll. To enroll, you make full payment for class or a deposit payment for the payment plan. You need to make sure you have a food handler certificate, but if you don't have one, I'll explain to you what you need to do. Please note it's 1,050 shillings for that food handler certificate. You also need to make sure you carry a hand kitchen cloth and you wear closed, flat, comfortable shoes. We will provide you with the ingredients, we'll provide you with the equipment and the tools that you need during class, recipes, notes, textbooks. When you're in class, we'll give you a branded apron, we'll give you a head cover to use during the class. And when you finish the class, we will give you a certificate of participation to show that you attended the class. I do like to mention to people, though, we are a bakery business that offers vocational training. We are not a college. So it's going to be 12 weeks of all these topics right here. If you want this information, I'm going to leave a link below to WhatsApp DM us, and you can get these details sent to you and the exact dates as well. So the deadline to enroll is January 17th. Make sure you've visited and enrolled before joining us. And we also have requirements for the class. So if you want some of these sent to you, we can WhatsApp DM you this information. So you might be wondering, why learn with us at Amari? Well, attention to students. The reason our students do well when they choose to practice after class is because we don't have a class of 50 students. We usually have minimum of 2 students, maximum of 6 students, particularly for this course. So we're going to pay attention to each student and we adjust accordingly for you. You also get to bake your own cake. This is not going to be a demonstration where you're watching me bake the cake. I'm going to explain to you how to do it, and you will work on your own cake. You will decorate your own cake, and you get to go home with it to share with your family and friends. Not only is this a baking and cake decoration course, because if you're a cake artist, if you're looking to invest this much in becoming a cake artist, you probably want to start a small baking business at home to start earning some money from this. So this is not just a baking and decoration course. You want to also get the skills to start the business. So we talk about costing, pricing, marketing, how to start the business, right? And even after class, you're able to reach out to us with any challenges or questions you have, and we will give you the support you need during the journey. We even share with you the list of vendors that we use in Nairobi, and you can go purchase the supplies and the ingredients from them. We also have some tools that sometimes we tend to sell within the workshop. You can get those. Now, for anybody who signs up for this course in January, we're giving an additional freebie of 5 days. You get to attend the bread and cookies class with your fellow students for another 5 days. That's definitely worth it. So if you are interested in that course or you're thinking about it, just schedule a visit to our bakery workshop in Nairobi. It's next to the Greenhouse Mall on Gong Road, Arcade Discount Mall, Shop 52. Here's the contact that you can use to just reach out to us and let us know if you want to come visit. I'll definitely make sure I'm available. I like telling people ahead of the time, though, because if we don't have classes, sometimes the workshop is closed. So that's why I like you to call ahead and let us know when you want to visit. So, coming to my final point, why is it important to get these skills? If you're getting started in the industry, right? Once you learn correctly, once you practice correctly, and you're committing to doing both, right? To learning and actually practicing, you can be able to start and sustain a small home baking business. And I just want to share a few of our alumni who have done this and continue to do this. So this is our alumni. Her name is Pesh. She's actually based in Kitui, but she actually came to Nairobi to do the classes. She has family in Nairobi, so she came, learned from us like a whole year. She did, I think, 3 classes from us, so a total of about 3 months. She learned how to bake cakes. She actually learned how to bake cakes, decorate, and then came for a fondant wedding cake stacking course. And she was able to start decorating cakes and selling celebration cakes. This was, I think, in 2018. Currently, she runs a home baking business called Pee Wee Delights. You can go check on Instagram for any of these people. And you can see the type of work she's doing. It's beautiful work. She does a lot of custom fondant cakes. She also does a lot of occasion cakes, including weddings. And she has been doing an amazing job. Another alumni we have who actually did almost 8 months of class because she kept coming back is Tina. Her business is Tina Tiny Streets. She's based in Nairobi, Kenya. If you go on Instagram, you can check her account as well. So these are literally her first work, the first 5 days when she came to class. I think this was a Black Forest cake they did. And now, if you can see the work on the right, that's the kind of work she's doing. She has perfected soft creams and also doing tall cakes with very elegant designs. So again, she came to class, practiced. She also did a business mentorship, and she was able to start and run her baking business very effectively. Another alumni is Eva. She's also based in Nairobi, Kenya. Her business is Tunu Bakeries. She also did almost 1 year of classes between 2018 and 2019. And as you can see, this is some of the work she did. She did basic, intermediate, advanced. She also did 2 of our business mentorships that really paid off. You can go check out her account, Tunu Bakeries. She actually runs a bakery shop and is now hiring multiple bakers that she runs. She doesn't do a lot of the baking right now. So this is what happens when you take both the baking and cake decoration and the business skills. You can be able to run a very powerful business. Another alumni is Millicent. She's also based in Nairobi, Kenya, Sprouts Bakery. And she actually, at one point, after a year of doing 2 years, I think, came and became one of our instructors for a period of time. So she's able to instruct. She's a teacher, she's a very good teacher. She also does wedding cakes and also samosas as well. And every once in a while, we do reach out to her for help, but she's currently not one of our instructors. An example of another alumni is Faith, also based in Kitengela in Kenya. Her business name is Tunda Cakes. She is currently one of our senior instructors. She still helps us once in a while in doing classes. And as you can see, she learned from us. Again, almost took like 6 months of classes. Then later on became our instructor. But she actually currently runs her own baking business where she does wedding cakes, celebration cakes, and even smaller snacks. We also have one of our current assistant instructor. Her name is Immaculate. Also came and learned from us, became an intern for a baking business, especially chiffon cakes, and now is an instructor as well for our classes. I want to mention that we also do one-on-one classes. They usually go for about 5 days. And I love when somebody comes to those classes, practices, and ends up doing such a good job. And Salam is one of those students. And she actually came, I think, this year. And she ended up with such amazing results. I was so impressed because of how passionate she is about it. She did our 5-day wedding cake course, and look at the work she's done. And she's actually now currently taking wedding cake courses. And the final person I want to feature is Immaculate, who's currently based in Rwanda. But the beginning of this year, she was actually in Kenya, and that's how she was able to attend our courses from January to April. Like I showed you guys, she was able to come to class, get the book, practice, reach out when she needs help. And now she's now setting up her own small baking business in Rwanda, and she's actually starting to get serious. So the point in this is when you get those skills and then you practice them, because the only difference between a baker who's successful and one who isn't is practice, right? Because it takes hours once you learn something to actually practice the skill, right? And one of the things I'm very honest with people is that We train a lot of people, but only about 40 to 50% of those students are successful. And success doesn't always mean business. Sometimes success is just being able to bake for your family. And the people who are able to do that are about 40 to 50% of our students, because the rest do not practice. And if you don't practice the skills that I've told you, you will forget them and you won't be able to execute on them. So when you choose to take a class, make sure you choose to commit to doing the things, but also to practicing. So if you're wondering, what action should I take after this? Well, learn the right way and just realize learning is step one. Learning is step one. After that, practice. You've got to keep practicing. Practice 60 to 100 hours in the beginning, but realize you have to keep going. For you to gain experience and master something, and I'm saying this out of actual experience, you've got to practice on a daily basis. I still practice for the more advanced stuff because I want to become perfect in it. So please learn to practice everything you're learning. If you need in-depth help, please consider, if you're in Nairobi, Kenya, or you will be in Nairobi, Kenya between January and April, enroll for the 12-week course. It's definitely worth it. It'll give you the skills you need to gain that confidence. You can check out our site, amaribakery.com, to just kind of see the different types of classes we offer. I will also link at the bottom if you're interested. If you're just looking for recipes, we also have an ebook that you can purchase, 500 shillings or $5 for the ebook. We also have a printed copy that's going to be available at the end of January. If possible, enroll in the 12-week course. It's starting on January 20th, and you get a bonus extra week where you learn how to bake bread and cookies, right? Reach out if you want full details on exactly what you're going to be learning. If you want to do this online, you're not able to attend practical classes, we do have 2 classes that you can consider joining. We have a 90-day, basically like a 3-month basic cake making and decoration. It's not the exact as a 12-week, but it's a good approximation of learning how to bake cakes, butter cakes, and sponge cakes. However, if you want to learn exactly what we teach in the 12-week course, we have a 6-month online course. That one's going to be available in February, right? And so that one is usually 10,000 shillings or $99 for non-Kenyan payments. You can enroll in that and start learning in depth how to do that. We also have 5-day short courses. Now, the group courses that go longer, those are usually multiple people in class. However, we do have one-on-one. That means one person. And you can actually come like on a Friday, pay, start Monday, depending on the schedule. So you can also reach out to me if you're curious about that. Here are some of the examples of those classes, like the Cake 101 class, that's $22,000 for the 5 days. So just to summarize again, what skills do you need to be a cake artist? You need basic baking skills. You should be able to bake butter cakes and sponge cakes by yourself. You need basic to intermediate cake decoration skills. You need cake flavor and blending fusions. You need the skills to be able to do cake flavoring, cake blending, and cake fusions. You also need to be able to execute on tall cakes and trending favorites. So keep an eye on the baking industry, see what's trending, make sure you can be able to do that. Also, you need cake stacking and proper structure skills. You should be able to stack a cake, at least a 2-tier, or do cake layers in a tall cake, and that cake should not fall apart. 6th, you need to make sure you have the basic business skills for a home baker who's starting to sell. So if you have those skills, you can be able to cost and price your cakes, market, and set up your business. I hope this video has helped you. Leave a comment if you have any questions about starting your cake artist journey, something you've been wondering about the baking industry before you get into it. Feel free to comment below and I'll definitely answer. If you want to follow us on social media, make sure you check us out on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn. For this particular channel, just search Baking with Amari, right? And you'll be able to find us. Make sure you watch the next video in this playlist. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video.